Today's episode is sponsored by Raul Rodriguez Law.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to season 3 of the Leija Lounge podcast. Let me be the first to tell you, I've missed y'all. We've all missed this lounge. We're catching you at the end of June. It's Men's Mental Health Month. I can't think of a better way to bring that in than with this podcast. This mental health focused podcast. We're men, Mexican men. Today I kind of wanted to go over, I guess a little bit before we started, just wanted to go over where we've been, what's been going on. Little trip that we took, Port A, which is really good. We're going to cover a lot of mental health stuff today, giving some advice, men's mental health advice in the workplace, at home, at school, just different scenarios. But how do we like our little getaway? You know, we had a little time off. Yeah. We got to shoot. Do you shoot golf? What's the word?
Play golf.
You play golf. We got to play a little golf. Round of golf, 9 holes. Yeah. I surprised everybody, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It's not much.
I love how bad you can hit the ball.
How long has it been since you played?
How old am I? 34. So it's probably 24 years ago, maybe. And I was hitting it. I mean, not consistently, but you
remember the training you had at the what was it?
At the country club.
Country club, right? You remember that training when you were
it
like
must
6
have
years
kicked
old?
It must have kicked in some. What? How? I was telling Jason, how far was that putt that I nailed? 30-footer.
It was about a 8-footer.
Nah, it was a little more.
No, it was a good one. It was about 12 feet. 12 feet.
I surprised myself.
Last putt of the day. Best shot of the day.
Surprised myself on that one. You know,
Those are the ones that get you want to come back.
Mm-hmm. See, that's what they're
saying.
saying.
Exactly what we said, and that's true.
Yeah,
you gotta have the worst round.
Golf gods doing that to you, like, you want to play a little golf? Here you go. Let's make this one.
Yeah. Now you got a little taste.
He bought shoes the other day.
Yeah.
In a golf bag.
It was fun. It was a little bit more fun than I thought it was going to be being out there. Maybe it was just because I was with them, right? And it's just time off.
How was the wind with the ball?
It was a little windy. It wasn't too bad, but it was a little windy.
Good.
It wasn't 3 bad.
Still found it.
You didn't have to adjust.
Still found the dance floor and got it in. And yeah, no problem.
Yeah, we got some B-roll here. Showing of like Dean's swing and my dad's swing. They're pretty good. It's not too bad. You know what I mean? I didn't get any video of me. I didn't want any video of me, but take my word for it. I had 2 shots
of
the
videos of you hit.
But those are lost files.
Yeah,
they're gonna be lost in the wind.
Burnt them already.
Is that, Mark? Do you golf?
Yeah, not very often, but every now and then I do.
I would think. For me, maybe it was just because we were on a little getaway or whatever, but I felt like it was like really serene, like just being in the outside, being like in nature, just especially like if you see these videos like against the water, right, against the ocean, like it was just very serene. Golf is very slow paced, it's very different than what I'm used to, and I felt like it was like a good thing. Like I would see it being a good like escape from your day, like from your. Is that what it? Like I think you had said it.
I've always said that. That when I played golf when I was fighting, once a week or twice a week for 10 years, 11 years. And it's just to get away from everything, just like and you could be anywhere. I was telling someone this the other day, you could be anywhere in the world playing golf, because it's just a golf course. You forget about everything outside. But we could have been playing in Tokyo, in Hawaii, anywhere, just because you're on the golf course. Could be anywhere, but you're in San Antonio, but it's just
a mini vacation.
It's like a vacation from everything for 4 or 5 hours, and you're out.
Real quick, by the way, shout out Sterling, best left hook in the game. Appreciate you watching, man.
For sure.
Yeah, Sterling's a good guy, but we need to teach him how to play some basketball.
Yeah. So I would think,
Let's hear it for Sterling, one of only 10 viewers.
So I really thought that golf game, just that little round that we played, was a really good escape mentally. Like it was a good reset. I went back. We played early. We went back to our family, and it was just good. Like I went back to my kids, my wife. Like it was just like, whoa, like this is a different. I've already got so much done in the morning. It was a weird one. I had never felt that.
But that's golf. I'm telling you, that's your. It's like when people come to the gym to get away from everything for an hour. Well, it's almost the same thing. For 4 hours, you get away from everything in golf, and all you worry about is hitting that white ball in that hole. That's all you worry about.
While you're playing, especially for me, while you're playing, I am. To say I'm happy is probably not the right word to use because I'm very frustrated in the moment because you want to have a good game, but you check yourself real quick. I'm pretty positive out there on the golf course, so I have a bad shot. I'm like, well, at least I'm actually playing golf.
There's a saying, there's no bad day playing golf.
A bad day on the golf course beats a good day in the office.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And to a little bit about me, one of my favorite games is like Tetris. I'm a very I love word searches. I love all that stuff, and it felt like that, like physical, like figure it out, like figure out how this works. Like it's a different game. Figure out how you do in this whole thing. Like it was like throwing me a Rubik's cube. And I'm like, oh, I don't know how to do this yet, but I guess it's like that. You're going to figure it out. Like once you get it, you can't stop,
Yeah, I make the comparison that golf is like boxing pretty much, except you're not getting hit.
Yeah.
So when you teed off, do you use a driver or do you use a 7?
I relied on them to kind of put the club in my hand. I just swung away.
Okay. Was he driving? Was he a driver?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
But he found his way. He found his way to the putting greens. So that was fun.
No, that's awesome.
But it was fun. I really think like I wouldn't say I would be a part of my regular routine, but I could see myself doing it again.
Right.
I hadn't played in 20 something years, but it's a good mental health escape. I really, it's one more thing that I can reach for that can be like, okay, if I just need a getaway or I just need to escape, like that's a good one. I never really tried it.
I think that's, for us or for, it's just, you can use it as an escape if you know how to play, or not even if you don't know how to play. It's an escape and try to figure out how to play the game of golf because you forget about everything else. Like I said, when I was fighting, I did it for 10 years, almost once or twice a week. And it was the best escape for me. Just forget about the fight, forget about training, forget about, and just worry
and the camaraderie too with your friends. You have
a great time.
I have
a
really close set of friends that we go and play golf every week. So it's a good time with them too.
Yeah, I think that mixed with like us being at the beach and all that was just like really calming. It was just like me being on the beach. I'm not really a beach person, but just being there felt like, man, the world stopped for a moment, right? To see my daughter running into the beach and my wife there and all of us as a family just being there. The world just kind of stopped. We kind of like, I think it was needed on my end for sure. I'm sure y'all needed it too, but it was definitely a thing where I was like, man, the world just stopped. I get to enjoy myself and all of that, But that kind of goes into our talk today for like men's mental health, right? That's a great start for golf. Like if you hadn't tried it, I'd recommend it. If you haven't tried it, I definitely didn't think I was going to enjoy it that much.
It's going to go one of two ways, man. Yeah. You're going to calm your ass down, or you're going to be frustrated as hell like Dean.
But then it takes that one putt to come back.
That's it. And you're that's it. You get a little taste.
It's funny because you can be frustrated. Not that I was frustrated because you would have to care to be frustrated, right? But like, there's a whole thing of like, I can see how someone can be frustrated the whole day, and then that one thing just erases it.
Well, and and here's the other thing too is that someone like yourself and myself, we play. Maybe I'll play once a year, maybe. Right? You haven't played in 20-something years.
I think this year I want to play the Jesse James Leija golf tournament. I think that'd be a good one.
So. What's great about those tournaments is it's a team that's a team sport, and you're going to have something in your arsenal that's going to help out that team no matter what. You're going to hit some crappy balls for sure, but if you found yourself, that you're a great putter, you're going to contribute to your team, and that's what's fun. That's what kind of keeps you.
Everyone has a strength. Everyone has a strength somehow.
Yeah,
that's a good one. That's a good.
My advice, if you do that, is get yourself like a bag of 40 balls to start with, and if you finish the round with a couple of balls left, you did good.
Yeah,
it's a
right.
good round.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So getting to the whole mental health and the reason why I felt like it was such a good thing for me, men go through tons of mental health struggles at work, at home, at school, on the internet, right? Just dealing with social media right now and in different stages of life, right? So we have a lot of people, you know, we always talk about our boxing gym just because that's where we see the most people. That's where we are most of the day.
Yeah.
You know, we have a lot of interaction with people coming in, clients. So we get to get involved in their life a lot, you know, their kids' lives. Even the kids are coming to train with us and they're telling us about certain things, right? And we just have a lot of knowledge about like struggle and just what our boxing gym and what our workout does to help them. It's very much like golf. You know, it's an escape for them to come into our golf course, right?
Yeah.
But you know, there's certain things like, you know, I have 2 kids under 10, right? 2 kids under 8, and you have kids that are graduating high school, right? And those are just totally like different things right there. What can you say like about like, I guess like guys, like we can remember like in high school, like with, you know, your kids are fresh out of high school, right? So like,
But the youngest fresh out of high school, the older ones are long gone from high school, right?
definitely. What did you see like what struggles would be like in high school for them? You know what I mean? Like mental, like navigating that world. I always say like to my clients, if this table is your life, high school is like this, or school in general is like this little square or this little triangle. But to you, this triangle is the world. You know what I mean? And that's so heavy sometimes. Kids kill themselves for school, you know, for grades and all that stuff, right? It's a terrible thing. What are some things, like anybody, what are some things that you think like can help kids, you know, teenagers navigate that path, you know, navigate school, dealing with the stress of school? You know, what do you think?
I think one of the things that kids and adults and a lot of people struggle with is trying to fit in to whatever group, whatever friendship, whatever people or whatever. They're trying to fit in. And that's the thing that I see, even kids that come to our gym or people that come to our gym, they're just trying to fit into a certain group or a certain type of personality or whatever. And we said, it's all about it's you, you know.
Yeah.
Be yourself, right? Like we always say,
And
be
that
yourself.
that advice is something that I take for granted because I felt like everyone got that advice, but we learned real quick not everybody gets that, right? Like for me, you just saying that reminds me of when you would tell me, you're the catch, you're the one that the girl would want, or you're the one that people want to be around. It's not you want to be around them, you're the guy, right? And I'm realizing not a lot of people hear that, you know, and people will conform themselves. I did it to an extent in high school. When we moved from the south side to the north side, I felt like I was uprooted from my area. Everything I knew was south side. I tell people all the time, I feel like I didn't have a conversation with a white person until I was in high school. Like I really didn't have one. There was no really need to talk to somebody like that. So when I went to high school, it's a totally different demographic. Antonian, totally different demographic, and I felt like I had to fit in somehow. I was the only one from the south side coming in, and the culture was different, and I felt like I had to get in where I fit in, you know. And I conformed myself a little bit. I kind of changed myself to fit in somewhere, and I think a lot of kids do that in high school, you know. And as you learn down the road, that in itself creates a mental health issue because you're being somebody who's not authentic. You can only do that for so long. And so you want to come out, right? Like you want to be accepted for who you are, not for who you can be, you know. And that's, you know, that's what I see. Like, you know, that advice is great because we try to give that advice to kids. Like you're the guy, like you're the one. It's not that your friends, like they're pretending too.
And not in a way where it's arrogant or anything like that. But we just want to talk about. We're just saying you're the catch. You're the one. You're the special person.
I mean, even if it was arrogant, it's better to think that way than to think you weren't. You're not that guy.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like I always say, I remember, I don't see it as a bad thing to. I'm not arrogant, but I don't see it as a bad thing to be high on myself and to talk highly of myself. Because I remember what it felt like when I couldn't. I remember what it felt like when I was like, you know, I'm a piece of shit. And now that I don't think that, I'm like, why would I think that again? Like, why would I go back, right? Like, I'm not being arrogant. I'm just being me.
It's better to be high on yourself than low on yourself, right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
You know, do you see that with like, you know, you're fresh with kids and like out of high school, right? Like, what do you feel like that? Is there some of that going on, or?
Without a doubt. I mean, this is you hear it a lot out there. It's a different time. Going to high school.
Yeah.
You know, and I think in previous episodes we discussed that, even how our upbringing, y'all's is a lot different. Today's kids, you know, your daughters. It's going to
Yeah.
be way different. So there's a lot of things that everybody has to maneuver through.
And even going back to, not to interrupt you, but even going back to season 2, to last season when we had our wives on, I was rewatching that episode and I was telling my wife yesterday, it's so amazing to see how different the mentality is. I had no idea what the thought of my wife and Celeste, Dean's wife, going out on their own and creating their own job. I had no idea what that stress would look like, because that's all we know, right? Like, you know, what is that like not having a boss? You know, you creating your own financial stability. Like, to me, that's not so out there. But to the person that hadn't seen that, or their family hadn't done that, that is a different type of mental struggle. How do I do that? How do I, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And that just brought so much light and understanding to that thing. You know what I mean? And that just goes along with the whole school thing. What are you working for? Are you working to be the employee or the boss? Right. And that's just kind of, there has to be employees, there has to be bosses or whatever, but that creates a whole different funnel, What do you do after high school? Whatever. But there's a lot of different things. Like, I would say, like, in high school, if you're going through a mental health struggle, a mental illness or whatever that's going on, you got to really backtrack. And I always say, figure out what is your foundation first. What do you hold to be true? What do you know to be true, instead of what are you trying to make true? You know what I mean? Like, that's where you'll start building. When you have a good foundation, then you can start building yourself up. But if your foundation is faulty and it's not real and it's fake, what are you going to build on? It's going to come down eventually.
Yes.
So yeah, that's what kind of, like, my daughters are so young, but I'm still trying to instill that in them right now. You know what I mean? I mean, what can high schoolers do to help themselves?
Yeah.
What do you think?
My kids are a little bit they're both two different personalities.
Yeah.
I got one, it's very much kind of an introvert. The other is an extrovert and likes to be around a lot of friends, and there's a lot of drama that goes on with that too.
Yeah.
But both are well-grounded. Both did extremely well. Graduated with honors, both, Both
of them.
And, I think they handle it in their own little way. I don't know, man. It's
what I'd say,
it's a hard time.
What I'd say if I was in high school or I'm giving advice to someone in high school, would probably be like, because everyone still is very much they want to be in the same lane together, rather than, as you get older, you realize that everyone's on their own lane, figuring it out for themselves. And but in high school, everyone's going to be like that, no matter how you tell them, like, you got to do your thing, thing. I feel like not till college where you start to figure that out. So high school, I feel like hang out with the people that you'd want to associate yourself with, or be like, you feel like that's a good group of people, because, like Dad always said, you are who you surround yourself with. So I feel like in high school, there's cliques and all that, but, like, be true to who you are, and then find those people that complement who you are, because you're still going to have your groups and all that. And, no one wants to be the outsider and be like, I'm going to do my thing, my lane, while everyone else is still doing their thing. That's cool as you get older, but, like, you're high school, you're 15 years old, 16 years old.
How much do you really want to stand out?
Yeah. So I'd say, find the people that you relate to and that are true to you, if you're being true to yourself, and those are the people you want to associate with. But college, though, I feel like college was, for me, I don't have the best record when it came to college, but I think the best thing that it did for me was figure out, like, who I was, and, like, separate myself from the lane that I was trying to be with everyone else, and realize that, man, like, just because I'm in this lane and sometimes I might be a step behind, or, they might be ahead, who's to say, like, they might hit a boundary, well, I might hit a boundary early, they're not hitting it yet, but they might hit something later on while I'm still cruising. So, like, who's to say who's behind, who's not?
Yeah.
There's no such thing as that. So you have your own lane, you figure it out on your own, and who cares what someone else is doing?
That's the whole thing we talked about before of define success, right? It's like, well, how far are ahead of you? Like, how far ahead of me are you really? Like, you have this house and this car, but you've been divorced twice. I got my wife and my kids still. Like, well, what does success look like to you, right? All those little things, whatever. But yeah, I can relate. When I was in college, I separated myself. I didn't stick around anybody. The only person that I knew was my wife, right? And I wasn't even with her yet, but that's the only person I knew. And I was going to the gym. I was fighting as a pro. I was training people still. I was working at the gym, right? And I just didn't care about school. I was there and I showed up, I graduated, but I didn't care about it. It was I'm doing my own thing. And I lost a lot of friends during that time just because I separated myself. Friends that I had in high school and before that, and I totally just left them behind just because I felt like they weren't going anywhere and I didn't want to be that person. You know, not to blow them up, but I feel like just they were content with what was going on. And I had to make a move for myself because I didn't want to be a part of that. And not against them or anything, but it was just more for me. It was a move like for me. I feel like there's better for me out there and I had to go find it.
Or maybe that was the visual you drew in your head.
Maybe.
Because they could, I mean, I'm sure a lot of them were just fine. They did very well for themselves. But maybe that was something that you needed to tell yourself.
I think it was the party scene. I think it was the whole, like, let's go out. I think it was just the pointless drinking and stuff like that where I was like, I don't really agree with any of this. Like, this isn't me. This isn't what I knew. I want to go back to the person I was in 8th grade. I want to go back to that guy instead of the person I tried to become in high school to fit in. You know what I mean? So I kind of got back in touch with my roots a little bit in college. You know, I started separating myself a little bit. But even then, when you're talking about parenting and having kids in high school, that can present its own problems on you, right? Like you're dealing with kids in high school that are dealing with problems. And how do you deal with that? Because I mean, our problems in school, they can very much go onto the parent. Even our problems now,
we carry everything that if your kids aren't, you're only as happy as your unhappiest kid, right?
Yeah.
They only as and for us, it's like trying to make sure all the kids are happy and they're content. They're at school. They're not being picked on. They're doing well in school. So all that because we're just as happy as our kids. And I think that's why we always would tell you every single day. Mom would is you're the very important kid. Well, what mom would tell you every day, right? You're the make friends with everyone.
Yeah, make friends. Yeah, she would say that all the time. Make friends with everyone because you never know. You just never know. Like
just make friends with everyone.
You never know down the road like what. Not like you're doing it for a certain reason, but like you never know what life's gonna look like later down the road. So you're gonna just be nice to everybody. You know,
you never know who's gonna be who's gonna save you at the end of the day. You never know who's gonna be that shoulder to lean on at the end of the day, you know? What advice can you give? Like, I don't have kids in school. I have kids in school, but not in high school yet. Like, what can you do? Like, is it more of a thing of like when your kid's in high school, like kind of like, hey, you gotta kind of let them figure it out? Or is it more of like you want to be involved and you want to really try to help them out? Like, I
think for us, what we did was we gave them the room to grow because it's a growth time, right?
Yeah.
Not a little kid anymore. You're a young adult. You're trying to figure things out, so we gave them the room to grow and experience high school. All of the little pits and falls come with it. And we were just there to kind of help offer our advice, but at the end of the day, you know, you make the decision on kind of what you want to do. I mean, we're not talking freshman, sophomore. It really was more junior, senior, kind of started to just back off a little bit. Still have a be present with them, but allow them that opportunity to just kind of grow a little bit. And now going into college, it's a whole different thing, man. Like, you know, I was on the phone with somebody today, a friend of mine who, you know, her son is going to Oregon. He's going to be a Duck.
Wow.
And, you know, my kids are not too far. They're still here in Texas, but, you know, that's a big trip from getting from where they live in Houston to Oregon. I mean, it's a pretty big deal. But we're talking about letting go, that part of it, and that we're not the only parents that have done that. You know, you've done it, you and Lisa, and a lot of parents do it.
Is there a part of that, like when your kids in high school, that you're already preparing like to let go a little bit? Like,
I think you kind of, for us, I think it was something we knew it was going to happen, and you just kind of maybe file in the back. But now we're facing it now, so we're like, okay, we got to deal with this because it's
like
happening.
They only got a couple more years living in your house, you would hope, right? Like whatever. But like even my kids are now, I'm thinking, you know, realistically, my daughter's 7, so I would say she's got another 14, 13 years with us before she maybe takes off, or, you know, before she finds her own
10 years.
maybe 10, who knows, before she
10.
but I mean, she's gonna come back and live with us, I bet. I'm assuming before she gets her own place, who knows, right? But like that time is limited. Like it's not gonna be forever. We're not
That's
with
right.
you. We're not with you in your house.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
So it's a precious time. But I'm wondering if you feel that, if y'all feel that. Like, I'm not there yet, but you know what I mean? I wonder if you do feel that at that point where you're like, man, it's getting close. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I don't know. For us, I mean, James, you and Lisa, you guys went through it.
Yeah, that's
Right.
why Mom cried all the way from Baylor all the way
Yeah.
back home because
Yeah.
even though we were prepared for it, but it's not until it happens that it hits you. But it happens to everyone. But I think what we do is, as from the time you're kids, and that's where all that teaching part comes in. Like, don't do this, do or whatever. Follow some of our advice. Don't do certain things, and hang out with the right people. Be nice to all your friends, or be nice to all the people. And then when you go to college, it's kind of like, okay, we did our work. Let's see how it happened. Let's see how it turns out.
Yeah. Kind of going back to this whole high school thing, I think it would be rough if we didn't bring up the whole Central Catholic ordeal, right?
Yeah.
Mark, you're a Central grad. How do you
Proud
feel?
graduate.
How do you feel about what's going on in that whole scenario right now? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Can you
Well,
shed some light on it?
It's sad. It's sad all the way around. And you feel for everybody involved. The institution, and I've read a lot of stuff online, and these are for people that have never been there. That,
We'll talk about what happened that way. Some people that
sure,
don't know.
yeah.
Okay.
So
Or at least what you know about it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we're not
Yeah.
going to say names or anything like that.
Yeah,
but-
no. I mean, it was a hazing incident that took place that maybe went beyond that a little bit. And a young man was, from all accounts, a very good soccer player, and Central Catholic has a very good soccer team, really good soccer team, and
I think Antonian beat him though. So yeah, but go ahead.
really
We're
so.
once maybe.
Antonian.
I think only beat him
Antonian.
once.
Yeah.
We bleed red.
Yeah. But it was, so, I mean, it's just the hazing incident to the 10th. And just went bad, and the families pulled the student out, and it was a big investigation that kind of went into it. And
How did that go from an isolated incident into a school-wide thing? Like, how did
Because
that?
there was a lawyer that got hired,
who's also a former Central Catholic
former
graduate.
Central grad, and he's putting the hammer down.
And he
Yeah.
has a vendetta.
Well, I don't know if it's a vendetta, other than I think that, I don't know, man. I don't know enough of the inside of it, other than just a former Central graduate, a proud Central graduate, to, you're in it because you're seeing this thing happen to your alma mater. And, I think everyone, talk about high school, we all have our high school experiences.
For sure.
Times are a lot different. When I was in high school was in the mid 80s. A lot different than what it is today. Do we see hazing back then? Sure. I mean, all that stuff has always existed.
It's a
but
daily occurrence.
Yeah,
I don't know, was
but
it-
you know what? I think in Dean, from when I was in high school, people were getting hazed all the time.
yeah.
There's people picking on each other, right?
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah.
hazing.
Yeah.
But that happened, bullied a lot. That happened a lot in high school.
And that's a huge spectrum of what that means.
Yeah,
Like,
but
it's a big
it's-
spectrum.
yeah.
Picking on kids, they can be
tripping kids down the highway, pouring your drink on someone in
Yeah.
the back, whatever.
innocent fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm
It
kidding.
happened every day in school. And I just think that, whatever happened was bad, but the media is making it worse.
Of course they are.
It should stop. Of course, hazing should never be allowed in school, but it's happening.
Yeah.
Kids are kids, and they're going to do things. Heck, if you have two toddlers that are 2 years old, they're going to pick on each other or push each other down or whatever. They're going to do it just whatever it's happening.
It's proximity, right?
Yeah,
Like,
but it happens in high school, and I just think it was bad, whatever it happened. But it's going way beyond that because of the media.
Yeah.
It's gonna make it worse, and it's bad. But
is it something you haven't seen before? Is it something? Who knows, right? I don't know.
Who
Like,
knows? I don't know. I can't recall anything that happened like that. And one of the things that kind of really made it bad, far extreme, was And again, I don't think this is an isolated incident, but just because of the institution that it is and the story that's happening, it's being blown out of proportion. But it was still devastating for that student, right, and his family.
Yeah.
And this is something that this young man has got to manage through. By all indications, he's got a really good, loving mom and dad. And they want to protect that young man and his younger brother, who also witnessed some of the hazing.
I would say the student or students that are applying the hazing, the seniors that are applying the hazing. I know one got pulled from graduation, I believe.
One or two,
from what I read.
Yeah,
but
maybe one.
even them, they're making such a big mistake in high school that it's going to trail them the rest of their life. They're
Well, that's one thing that happened with one of the students was that he had a few scholarships to play soccer. So one of the moves was that they I guess the parents pulled the kid out before he can get expelled, so he can keep the scholarships. But the college eventually found out, and his scholarships got pulled.
See, those are those things where it just, you're making such a big mistake early, and you're immature. Who knows what, right? And that you're going to be known as that guy. That you're just going to be known.
So from the institution, Central Catholic, what they did, like every school, they did their own investigation. They dealt with it a certain way. I know that the young man's mom and dad hired an attorney, former Central Catholic graduate, as we discussed, and he, police got involved. They're doing their own investigation. The school is complying with the investigation as well as they should. But they went even further, the school. What they did was they said, all right, look, this is really, we have to take a whole holistic look at all of this. So the school hired a independent third party, not affiliated with the school, not affiliated with any of the alumni, totally independent, which I'm in agreement with. And they're taking a whole look at it as well, too, to see how can they prevent these things from occurring again.
Yeah.
And
what he did was bad.
What he did was bad.
There's no room for that anywhere.
I agreed.
But we'll,
and that's why it affected this young man.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think it takes that step further where you are classifying it as hazing because it was somebody older applying to somebody younger.
Right. Yeah.
As opposed to they're the same age and they're just bullying. Yeah. You know what I mean? It is there is a right. What would you call it? Not a there's an age gap.
A maturity gap.
Maturity gap, but it's also a there's somebody above you who's older who may take influence over you, who's on the same team as you, right? Who's a good soccer player, who's influencing this whatever. And there's also that little struggle.
But what I don't understand is if there were other soccer team members that knew of this, why didn't somebody come forward and say something? Maybe they did. I don't know. I don't know all those facts. All those things will come out.
That's the whole thing. Where if I come forward and I start talking, now I'm a part of it. Yeah. Right. And I'd rather stay clear. But again, that's one of those things of you're being young, right? Like you either want to stick your neck out or do you want to run with the pack?
Yeah. But again, it is so unfortunate. And James is right. It's because of the institution itself. The media is really kind of harping on this, and again, I'm not trying to justify the school's position at all. I'm just saying that the media also likes they need ratings. They need to sell newspapers. There was a time in my life where I was on the receiving end of that, so I know what that's like personally. And there's a reason why they call it fake news sometimes. This, unfortunately, is not fake news. It happened. But I think that the public out there, they like to put their own spin on it.
For sure.
And you tell one person something, and then by the time it comes back to Dean, it's changed a few different volumes on it. So I would say let's just wait to see how all this shakes out. Let the investigators do what they got to do. More importantly, the school did the right thing by notifying all of the parents, notifying the alumni, and the actions that they're taking to really just be open about it and hire this third-party investigator to go in there and just, all right, how do we prevent this? How do we learn from this really unfortunate incident? How do we make sure all of our students feel safe in this institution? And how do we make sure the parents feel they made a right choice in sending those young boys to that that school? Yeah.
And again, we would hope. Yeah, I know there's going to be ramifications and things to deal with down the road for everyone involved, all the kids involved, all the parents involved. We hope that their mental struggle doesn't happen, so drastic. We would hope that they're reaching out to people that help them out. The victim especially, if he can, therapy, whatever it needs to take, to reset that, to not let that linger in the back of your mind. He was young. He's a young guy. He still has high school to go through and college and all that. You would hope that, mentally he's okay and all of that.
I hope so. I mean, again, I don't know his parents, but just from what I read and what I see about them, they're great, loving parents, and I know they're going to do everything in their power to make sure that their young boy grows out of this thing. He'll never forget it, no question about it, but that he has the tools on how to manage this thing kind of going forward.
That's it. You have the tools.
Yeah, you got to do it. It's tough.
Yeah. So mental health,
but you could even take something like that incident, right, and look at it in the workplace.
That's it.
Right? And so now you are the administrators of the school. I mean, this is a big weight on you, man. And so, how do they kind of manage all of this?
Because a lot of it too, like same thing, like you just said, these people who are running the school, right, who are now administrators, who are now teachers or whatever, they also have their own high school experience. They may have been hazed or bullied or whatever, right? How do they deal with that? How do they approach a kid who's coming to them and saying, hey, this is happening to me? Mentally, how do you respond to that, right? Because you have your own experience of it. You may be like, hey, well, this is high school or whatever, right? Or it could be just like, yeah, this is serious. Like, this is a thing. How do you deal with the mental struggle in the workplace? You know what I mean? Where and that's a different scenario because you're dealing with kids, like, But even then, like you're dealing with colleagues, you're dealing with other people who have different perspectives of what's going on, right? Jobs being threatened, maybe in that scenario, people fired, let go, whatever. How do you deal with something like that? Like that's such a chaotic scene, but
right, something like that. I will say that I do know the people, some of the top administrators there. They're great men, and they're smart, and their heart's in the right place, and I know they're going to do what's right all the way across the board. And
I think that's what makes it so tough because we also know a couple of these guys.
Yeah.
They've come to the gym.
Yeah.
We've had the basketball team come and train at our gym end of last year.
Yeah.
We know some of these guys at Central that are at the head, and we know that their heart's in the right place.
Heart's
That
in
they-
the right place. Good people.
They're good people, right? And again,
And they mean
things
well.
do happen. Things do happen.
Yeah.
that
And things are out of your
control.
control. I mean, these are but you're charged nonetheless,
Definitely.
right? Overseeing this, and
No
so
matter
they
how
have to
good you
manage.
are, if you're
But I
involved,
think they've
you
made
know.
the right move so far, right? With everything they've done, I think they've checked all those boxes right now, and let's just kind of see how things play out. Different scenario on a workplace, right? For example, I've had when the different arenas I've run. Again, times change a lot. It used to be where, heck, I was looking back not too long ago at some photos of some events and, employees kind of getting together for celebrations, parties, even birthday parties, lunches, whatever. And you would maybe as a company, as a team, get together and you go celebrate someplace and have a really good time. And you don't do that anymore. You can't. HR gets involved and things change because people's minds, perceptions, times change, everything else. And so, it used to be now some parties, they would have Christmas parties. And I mean, people listening to this or watching this would remember, if you're over 40, you remember your Christmas party 10 years ago. And it was a Christmas party.
Yeah.
Big spread, open bar, people having a great time.
They're letting loose.
Let loose. Now it's good food, 2 drink tickets, or no drinks at all. Times have changed a lot. And so with that, there's also how do you manage people? And the sensitivity things come in on how you deal with folks, and that's why, folks that are running their own companies now, I'm a huge proponent in people, especially if you manage a team of people, you got to get some HR training. You really have to.
Yeah.
Just the way we talk to each other, you can't talk like that to your employees. You can't. And so you have to, this is a whole different thing where you have to learn how to get that expert help on how to talk and communicate with your employees. And mental health's a big component of that, because I've seen it too, where some people saying, well, my boss talked to me this way, and I don't think that's right. I don't think that's appropriate, and it's affected me mentally.
Yeah,
and that goes down another spiral.
It's affecting my job. It's affecting my work. It's affecting my income. Whatever.
When you're in an auto accident, you shouldn't be concerned with legal runarounds, just real advice. You deserve an attorney ready to work for you, an attorney that won't back down.
I've lost loved ones due to the negligence of others. If you or a loved one has been injured in an auto accident, I want to be there for you.
Raul B. Rodriguez and his team care about ensuring you and your family are represented, whether on the road or in the workplace. Raul is real, and Raul won't back down. Call 210-899-0300 to schedule a free consultation.
Yeah.
Just us three, just for the business we know, running a gym, we have, 7 employees that work at our gym. We've had a lot of people that work at the gym, though. Everyone's run differently. We do have people that are, things happen with group of guys at a gym and all that stuff. But I think the biggest thing, all these guys are younger than us. The biggest thing that we see is everyone just wants to be heard. Everyone wants to know their voice is not falling on deaf ears. We got to open our ears up, and we got to kind of close our mouth sometimes. We have 2 ears, 1 mouth, so we should be listening more, right? And it's just listening to our employees and seeing what can we do. Sometimes it's like the parent with the kid. Sometimes you do have to listen to the kid. Sometimes that the answer is in his mouth, right? It's not so much maybe in your mind, but the answer is right there. And your employees are also looking out for your business too. They want to work there. If you create a good work environment, they don't want to leave there, but things happen, right? So how can you be a better boss to your employee? How can you emphasize their mental health? And maybe it's just listening to them, making them feel like they can be heard. I know there's a couple of instances at our gym where things have happened and we've called a meeting together, many times, where we get everyone together and they all show up and we're here. And let's talk about it as a group, but also maybe as a family, right? Like, we all understand our job. We all understand what we all bring, but we have to bring everybody together to make sure everyone's on the same page. And that's one thing that I love that we do at the gym is if one person has a problem, we are all going to solve it. It's not just on us and everyone else is clueless. We're all going to know what's going on. And, that's one way that we approach it. We kind of make everybody involved. That way everyone feels like this guy's being heard, or this person's being heard, or I need to say something and y'all need to hear me. I don't want to play telephone like you're saying. I don't want to tell one person and they tell another person and all of a sudden it turns into something it wasn't. We're all going to deal with it here maybe as a family. Maybe that's like family style. I can't assume that's for everybody, but that's how we do it. And it's been working so far. We have a good core group of guys that we trust that work really well together, and maybe that's a good thing to have as a boss,
I think one thing that with everything being said and how people react and all that, I think the biggest thing that helps everyone, and even if we teach it or give it, is having confidence. Because you're not going to be bullied if you have confidence in yourself. You're not going to let anyone do that to you. You're going to fight back, do something. You're going to talk back, right? But it's about having confidence. At the workplace, our guys are going to stand up for themselves and say, no, I want to do this, because they have confidence in themselves. Everything I hear about things happening or when people get bullied, or maybe it's because they have a lack of confidence and things happen. But you gotta talk back, fight back, stand up for yourself. You have to have confidence in yourself.
Or stand up for your idea.
Yeah, whatever it is, wherever it is, you have to. And a lot of people don't have that. A lot of people they don't have that. And I just think the biggest thing that people can have and learn is to have confidence in themselves, and to fight back for yourself.
And that's a tough one if you're not raised with that. Again, they were raising me and us saying, you're the catch. Who are they, right? Whatever, right? So I have that mentality. I really do have that. That's instilled in me, right? As a parent, you and mom always used to say, we're going to say it, but I don't know what's going to stick. Like, we're throwing things, but we don't know what's going to stick ever. Those things stuck to me, and there's a reason why I'm here. There's a reason why I'm talking in front of this camera. There's a reason why I'm doing all this. I don't care who's watching. I'm going to put it out. Right. There's a reason why I'm here doing this and we're doing this stuff. You know what I mean? Because I never gotten bullied. I've never been like that because I'm not going to allow that, but that's how I was raised. As parents, it's good that we instill that into our kids of you're the one, right? Like don't follow anybody. They would tell me all the time, be a leader. You know this. They would say it all the time, be a leader. You're not a follower. You're a Leija, right? Like you're not. And that's what every family should have, I think, especially with young men, especially with men. This is Men's Mental Health Month, especially with men. This should be that, lead your house, and to, on the work thing, you're probably going to listen to an idea expressed by a confident person as opposed to a person that's not confident, because how confident is your idea if you're not willing to stand up and fight for it? So that's where I'm coming from on that. You know what I mean? But again, that's taught from a really young age. That's the high school experience. That's all this stuff. You would hope that these things that are happening aren't affecting this kid's work life in the future or whatever. You know what I mean? Right. Or the confidence there, because it's taking a big blow. You know what I mean? That's a big ordeal.
It's also about listening, because we were listening to you guys when you had anything, but there's some parents that tell their kids things. They don't listen to their kids. Yeah, they just tell them what to do, how to do it, and whatever, but not listen to them and why they're feeling the way they are.
Because you're right, Mark. Times are different, right? Like the race you ran is different than the race they're running.
No doubt.
So it's a different track. Sometimes the tricks don't work. Sometimes the keeping your head down and just keep going, it doesn't work all the time.
A lot of times they teach you too.
Yeah, exactly.
You might be talking about saying something and they'll throw something this out of curveball, and you're like,
I told somebody yesterday. I told somebody.
That's not fair.
Yeah.
I told somebody yesterday, your parents' world is right here, and there's a way that worked. And then there's your world that's down here, and there's a different way, different set of rules, different lifestyle. Everything is different. It's hard to try to apply this to this. Yeah. Right.
But it's interesting too, because using that analogy, in 30 years from now, right, the roles are going to reverse.
Definitely. But
where you guys are not going to necessarily be caretakers to your mom and dad. You're not. They're going to take care of themselves. But it's like what we were with our parents when they matured in life. Roles kind of reverse a little bit. Yeah.
And that's the little thing too, where the roles are reversing even now, right? Yeah. Where they don't want me to take care of them. They don't want us to have to go and help them and all that. Where maybe y'all's parents did. They expected that. I know, like, there's some friends that I have where their parents expect that. Yeah. I'm the matriarch. You're going to take care of me when I'm older, right? And my parents aren't like that. There's a change there, right? Where it's almost like, well, no, I'm good. Like, I want y'all to live y'all's life.
Well, fortunately, that's today.
Yeah.
Right? Like I'm saying, in 20, 30 years from now, I look at my own and I'm thinking, so everyone knows my goal is to make it to 100. I got a plan. I got my birthday planned out. It's going to be a special birthday at 100.
Only the best applesauce.
That's it.
So you got 20 more years, right?
Huh?
20 more years?
I got a while to go, man. But you hope that, physically you can, your mental capacity's there. And what was it I was watching? We're watching, on the news here recently. There's a lot of folks that are in their 80s, in our nation's government right now. That some people saying they're kind of losing a little bit. And but that kind of happens around 80, right? So that's what I'm saying. That's when the roles change more so. Right now, you're right. I don't want my kids to have to worry about me or my wife at all. No, we're fully capable at this point.
I was watching a thing on the news. I think it was the news. It was that men, like if you're in your, maybe I forgot where I saw it, but if you're in your late 50s or early 60s, you have about 15 years more of life.
Yes, that's it.
Is the average.
And you got to look at it from that perspective.
Like a good day. Man, that's 15 years. That's fast.
Yeah, it's 15 summers.
Yeah. That's. We'll be 75, 76. It was
that's
average
it.
age. That's
yeah.
wow.
My daughter, but my daughter will be 15.
Yeah, every so many years, that changes up. Unfortunately, but I think generally, maybe that number is 75.
That's
I think
crazy.
it's 77
15
now.
summers left, and we're done.
Yeah, think about that.
Yeah, cooked.
Wow. Yeah.
That sounds. That's.
But those are to still do a lot of things that we can do.
You got 15 years.
Then once you start to hit that, you start to hit close to 80, it changes a lot. Hey, and also I've seen at y'all's gym, you got, not to name any names, Jim Monaghan, but you got some other guys that are well into their 80s that are, I go to the YMCA probably 4 times a week. There's a guy that I was talking to, he's 92 years old.
Jeez.
And he goes, and he goes.
He's there.
That's awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's a mentality. That's
how at our gym we have ladies in their 60s and their 70s.
Yes.
I had a lady who was 82 who was working out there all the time.
And they're on fire.
When they're doing everything.
Yeah, and that's a thing. I mean, that all goes back to what you used to say all the time: body motion stays in motion, body rest stays at rest. And so, as we mature, we got to get there. But anyway, going back to the whole mental health, dealing with all of that. I mean, it is definitely. I think we all learn all the time. I'm not a know-it-all kind of person. I'm not. I learn every week.
I'm a know-it-all. I know it all.
Yeah. Well, every week I learn something here. I learn from my kids every day, and from people I come in contact with, man. And you try to learn new tricks. How do you kind of deal with this particular stress, right? And I think we also talk about Hispanic men. We don't talk enough about it. That conversation.
When it comes to Hispanic men, I always say, get out of your own damn way.
Yeah.
Like
there's some
get off your
pride.
high
There's a lot
horse.
of pride.
Put that
you,
machismo aside.
Yeah,
Put it aside for a little
you
bit
have to
and
put it.
let your guard down.
You
Yeah,
have
like,
to put
man,
it aside.
Like who do you think you are? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's one of those things where it's like you want to tell guys that like who the fuck do you think you are?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you're to not have emotion, to not have you're not human. Like like we all have that, right? Like get out of your own way. You'll be so surprised how far you'll go. You know what I mean? Like there's not everybody, not every Mexican man, but I'm just saying like we've come in contact with a lot of them, and not that they're bad, but it's just like damn, like man, you're a human being. You're allowed to feel things too, man.
Yeah.
Like just because maybe you weren't allowed to then, you're a grown man now.
Yeah.
Your parents aren't here. You can feel what you want to feel. You know what I mean? You can deal with it. Like your parents are not here to judge you. Your dad's not here to judge you. You're a different man. You're the man now. You can set the rules now, right? And I always say that about Mexican men. I told you this in the car maybe when I was 14 or 15, and it stays in my head. I told you Mexican men don't have we're not Jewish or we have a bar mitzvah. We're not a Mexican woman where they have a quinceañera.
Yeah.
You're coming out. You're a woman now. We don't have anything that tells us we're a man.
Right.
It's really when your dad dies. You're the head of the house now, right? Is when your dad passes.
Yeah.
But if he lives until he's 100, what am I, right? And I remember telling him, there's nothing that says I'm a man. There's nothing that tells me as a Mexican man that you're the head, aren't you? And I remember him telling me, you need something to tell you you're a man. And I remember thinking that, and I remember him saying that, and I don't think he meant it the way he was saying it, but I said it, the way it went into my head was, no, I don't even need you to tell me that. I'm a man right now, right? And it was just one of those things where it kind of freed me from that. It freed me from like
You don't have to wait. You don't have to wait.
I don't have to wait. I'm a man right now. I have 2 kids. I have a wife. I have a house that I own. I have everything that I'm doing. Like, who's to say I'm not? I have a business, right? Like, you're in the same thing, right? Like, it's the same thing. Who's to say we're not, right? And
You're a
it's
man when you start getting little whiskers, hairs.
yeah, whiskers on my tiskers. On my tiskers.
You're saying, come on, was it?
I know it was whiskers on my tiskers.
Yeah.
But anyway.
But that's you're a man when you think you are, right? Like, you can do it.
You said that at 14, and you're like, yeah, I'm a man. Like, can you drive me to practice, please? I'm late.
Yeah. Or you go like this, I'm a man.
Yeah.
Not yet.
But I need Sonic on the way home.
Yeah. Can you take me to McDonald's?
I want a McFlurry, please.
Yeah. Ooh, McFlurry. I can go for a
McFlurry
McFlurry right
money.
now, man.
One thing that I do want to say before we get out of here, we're not going over mental health in the relationship. I was telling my wife on the way over here, I really want to do an episode where it's just her and I, and we're going over a relationship with somebody who has a mental illness, because that's a totally different thing, right? It's the totally different side of the coin. It's not just my perspective, it's the wife perspective. It's the other side that's dealing with somebody who has a mental illness. We've gone over the parenting, we've gone over the brother, haven't touched the spouse part yet, and that's one that's coming up.
That's the deepest one.
That's a big one, because there's a lot of information there for wives, for spouses, for husbands that deal with their wife that may have something. I get that question all the time. My wife has this. How do I deal with that, or whatever? And I feel like my wife, I've been with her forever, and I feel like it's just one of those things where she handles it very well. She knows me. She knows what makes me tick. She knows how to, calm me down. She just knows me. You know what I mean? I think, because the whole thing about it is I'm bipolar, and bipolar marriages have 90% divorce rate.
Mm-hmm.
And I think about that all the time. Mm-hmm. And we've
do
been
you
married.
think about that when you have an episode, or when you go through it? Do you think of that, or your mind somewhere else?
My mind's somewhere else. I don't think about that.
You don't, yeah.
I usually think about that during the good times, where I'm like, it's a steady ocean and nothing's crazy. I'm thinking, man, look at us, like we're beating the odds. We're that 10. I always say I'm the 10%, but I've always been the 10%. Even in my brain, I'm the 10%. I'm not the 90. I'm not with the crowd in high school. I'm over here, and they've always told me that I've kind of marched to the beat of my own drum. But I live by that. Like I'm proud of that. I'm not trying to be with the crowd. I'm not trying to be on the other side of this camera. I want to be here. And that's just me. That's my personality. I am confident, man. And, those things help me out in my relationship a lot. I am that 10%. I am going to put that extra effort in when maybe this guy won't. I'm going to do it, and I want her to say her piece. I want her to give advice to women and give advice to the other side of the spouse that may not have that mental illness, but the struggle that's on her side, and advice that she can give. I definitely want that's gonna come up pretty soon. But in case we didn't,
it'll be a great episode.
It'll be a great one. I know it will be. Yeah. Just because we didn't go over it here, I definitely want to let people know that's coming up. That's gonna be a good one. We've done that before on like Instagram lives. We've answered questions that people have for her, people have for me. So I think that would be a good one for sure. Yeah. You know what I mean? That one's coming up.
I'll be watching.
Yeah, that'll be a good one. We're at the end of June. We're almost at the end of June.
Dean, it's Pride Month, so we're proud.
Yeah. We got y'all's birthdays coming up in July. Excited about, yours is July 8th, right? Coming up pretty soon.
I'll be 59, I think. Right?
59.
You've been 59 for 6 years.
Yeah. I know, right? It feels
You've
like
been
I've
in the 50s for a long time.
Yeah, jeez.
We got his year wrong one year. He thought he was 58 when he turned 57.
Yeah, it was
That's
weird.
where it went
was
wrong.
weird. Yeah.
That's where it went wrong, right? Because I was.
But I think you did that happen twice or something.
You
like
said
that.
you were 58 twice.
I've been saying 58 for the longest time.
How old are you now? 58?
I'm 58 now. But it's like I've been 58 for 2 years.
Just keep saying that.
Right. Yeah, man.
And then, so now I'll be 50. I'm 50. Yeah. So I'll be 59 in July.
I don't even know how my, like when people ask me how old my parents are, I don't even know. Like,
Remember, it's not a lie if you believe it.
I'm trying to go backwards.
Yeah.
That's what we're all trying to do.
Not only that, guys, before we get out of here, if you're still watching this, make sure to keep a note of this. We have a kids camp coming up at our gym, Leija Boxing and Fitness. July 8th is the first day. Tuesday, July 8th is the first day. We're going to have kids camp, ages 7 to 13. They're going to get their own gloves, wraps. They're going to have a T-shirt, commemorative T-shirt that we're going to make for them. Summer camp, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday for 2 weeks. We're going to post some stuff on our Instagram, Leija Boxing and Fitness. We're going to post it. Leija Boxing. We're going to post it, a flyer, some information about that. If you have kids that you don't know what to do with in the summer, or if you have kids that are interested in boxing, we're going to be doing
kids that need confidence in their lives,
confidence,
like all kids, we'll help them.
Just to give them something else to do. This, we always say boxing, throwing your hands is like, it's like a gun. You don't want to use it. You don't want to do it. But if you needed to, you need to know how to use it. You need to know that you know how to throw that punch. You know what I mean? Like, it's just walking around with a little bit more protection, more confidence. You're not going to get bullied. I'm going to throw this punch. Remember, bullies don't bully the people that fight back.
Yeah. Yeah. That know how to fight. So we always said this too. Guys, there's also a false confidence out there too. There's guys out there that are strong and they're big and they say I could fight, and they go to the gym, they can't fight at all. And I say,
Take it
that's a
from
false
us.
confidence.
Take it from us. We know.
I've been doing this since I was 10 years old, and I see guys that think they can fight. They go out there and they start, and I say, oh my God, we're going to teach you how to do it the right way. But there's a false confidence and there's a confidence.
Definitely.
And we want to teach you the right way.
We always say false confidence is a little more loud. It's a little bit more out there. You know what I mean? And confidence, you don't have to be loud. There's no need to boast. There's no need to do that, you know? But yeah, definitely, you know, muscle, we call it faux muscle, faux strength. You know, it's not, but anyway, you know, we're going to run that camp for the summer for 2 weeks, July 8th through July 19th. If you're interested,
What are
reach
the
out to
ages
us.
again?
7 through 13. We're only
7
taking
through
kids, 7 to 13. 14, you know, you can come to a class. We're going to really hit that little demographic of kids.
You're 14. You're going to be with the 7-year-olds.
Would.
No.
So yeah, so you know, we're kind of hitting that little middle school age right there. It's a very influential age right there, you know. So if you're at 14 and up, you know, we have classes available for you every day, but we really want to hit that little kid demographic, inspire kids, get some confidence in them, teach them a new trade, teach them a new sport. You never know where that goes, right? It helps in every sport too. So you have a kid who's playing football, hockey, basketball, baseball. There's something about boxing that helps every sport. Coordination, footwork, hand-eye coordination, everything. It's a whole body workout. So yeah, it'll be a good thing. Classes are an hour long. Just to give y'all some information, but we'll be posting more about that as the month goes on, July 8th through July 19th again. But yeah, good episode. Welcome to the season 3. You know, this is a good first start. Mental health first. We're here, Men's Mental Health Month. We hope everyone who's watching is having a good month, having a strong mental health day. If it's not today, it's tomorrow. You know, if you're not having a good day today, there's another day.
Wait till tomorrow.
The sun will always come up, you know. Have a good day, guys. Thank you for watching if you come this far. If you like this content, like I always say, if you like this content, please please comment. We've been getting more comments from guys, so thanks for that if you're a comment. Sterling Holmes,
Nice.
once again. That's
Appreciate
2
you.
times.
2 shout-outs.
2 shots.
Who's starting?
And people, please share this episode with your friends. Our link so they can watch the previous episodes there. I know we've got some really interesting people coming down the pike, so that's gonna be pretty darn good.
Yeah. Again, this is the summertime. It's hard to wrangle some of the guys that we want to get on, but they're coming for sure. We're gonna get a couple of big names on here, a couple of big fighters, basketball players. Guys, be on the lookout. We're gonna really try to hammer it home at the end of this year. We're also in talks, like we said last season, we're also in talks about a new gym. So keep your eyes out. Who knows? You never know what's gonna pop up with us. But yeah, keep your eyes open. Thank you guys for watching again. Season 3, Leija Lounge.